yeah. Okay, I guess. Someone made a point as a negative, and I'm like, no, I agree with that.
On Charlie's Angel?
Yeah, they're being sarcastic, but I was like, no, that's a good point.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another review video. This is the spoiler part of the review video for the two movies that we watched, Charlie's Angel, that was recently released, and a classic Ghibli movie, Princess Mononoke. We are the Samurai Reviews with your hosts. We have Brett and Josh. But before we get into our spoiler part of the review, please hit that subscribe button and comment down below on anything that needs to be fixed or any movies that you want us to review.
You should cancel. I'd appreciate that comment. That'd be funny. I wouldn't care. We're not going.
We're not going to.
We need something to do Thursday mornings.
This is therapeutic.
Yeah.
And last thing, this review video is brought to you by Kazuya Cam Production. They are a video and photography production company. Check out their website, provided down below.
We're going to start our discussion on Charlie's Angels and see where it leads us. Let's talk about the twists first, I guess. So the twist is like Patrick Stewart is the bad guy in it.
He's the villain.
And I like that because it gives us more Patrick Stewart. But the way they got there was like, as Michael Scott would describe hysterectomy, snip, snap, snip, snap. It was very like, it was, this guy's a bad guy, 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 this guy's a bad guy. And the way they did it, just like, why wouldn't... So they try and lead you on to the path that it's Elizabeth Banks at one point, her character. And then, they go through the normal route. It's like, oh, it's this guy trying to kill them is the bad guy. Then it's like, oh, it's Elizabeth Banks. Oh, then it's Patrick Stewart. Or no, because they actually do the, they first go Naomi Scott's boss, Naomi Scott's boss's boss, Elizabeth Banks, Patrick Stewart, and Naomi Scott's boss's boss. And that's where it ends. And it's just kind of like...
But then it goes back to Patrick Stewart again.
Yeah. So,
there's a lot of...
Yeah, it's a lot of
jumping
antagonists
back
just kind of like... Step in and
no,
step
but
out.
I'm the real villain.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay.
It's like an episode of...
But
like
I've
a season
deceived
of 24,
you this whole time.
When he's like, this is the terrorist. And then he's like, but I have a boss. And then he gets the boss and he's like, but I have a boss. And you're just like, Jesus, Jack. Just get the guy at the top. Yeah, so that was, like, I enjoyed it because it gave us more Patrick Stewart, and I thought his performance was one of the better ones, especially when he walked out of the chopper looking like a daddy.
That was a great scene. That was
he
a
just
great
had his
shot.
Sunglasses, his t-shirt, his blazer, his jeans, he's just walking out. It was looking, woo!
He had a backpack on.
Yeah, he's
only one strapping it, too.
Mr. Steal Yo Girl coming in. Yeah, so, like, it ended up being a good... I liked where they ended up getting to with the protagonist. The way they got there was messy.
And he plays a great villain.
He does, yeah. I thought he was fantastic. And even his dialogue, because when he was at the watch store trying to look for a tracker, and he's like, the way he like says, like, I thought she was onto me, like it's supposed to say, or no, he says that I know what she's up to or something, but she's not up to anything other than her job.
Yeah.
So, like, the way they phrased it was trying to make you think Elizabeth Banks was the bad guy, which, like, why wouldn't you if he said it like that? It was just, like, they tried too hard with it, rather than just having him, like, oh, someone's watching me, and then you could just assume it on your own.
Let's talk about that first 30 minutes in the opening scene with Kristen Stewart's character and the guy.
So, yeah, I think this is a perfect scene to explain this larger problem with the movie, but... The dialogue is cheesy and it's heavy-handed. It's very like, the opening like monologue is, I think the first words are, why can't a woman do what a guy can do? Or like something like that. Or like women can do anything. Like, I'm like, yeah, they can. And I didn't mind it at first. And then, but it was the beginning of them going on like a 10-minute rant about how women aren't treated equally, which I agree with, but like, I don't need a 10-minute monologue at the beginning of my spy movie about feminism. I like little bits and pieces here in my movie. I love that. I love, like, cultural discussion in my movies. Like, that's a really big, strong point for me. But when you just spend 10 minutes where you're just like, women can be strong too, like, yeah. I think most of us coming to see this movie already think that. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't be there. But yeah, it's very heavy-handed. Would you think of like the dialogue? Like, how many times did they talk while fighting?
It was an animation where they would fight, stop, and then they would like monologue for a bit, and then they would fight again.
You're like, what's
stop
going
and
on?
monologue, and you're just like, just fight.
And it was like that at the beginning and the end, and in the middle, they kind of this becomes just like, oh, we need a fight to get out of here or whatever, and it's like, yeah, that's how it should be. That's good. But then the first 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes, you're just like, what are you doing? It was very much, I think, a product of they didn't know how to start the movie and set up their characters without it. Yeah, they had to, so at the end, they have a similar situation where the, like, badass fighter woman of the group is fighting the guy that killed her, like, instructor. And she was, I think they thought they had to explain why she hadn't beaten him yet, which they did not. I did not feel that they needed to do that. I thought just having her beat him would be fine. I will do a quick side note. The combat where, like, you know, smaller women take on, like, stronger men, I thought was done very well. They weren't, like, catching their fists and, like they weren't overpowering them, because she obviously does not have the muscle mass to compete with the guy she was fighting with. But her technique was really, like, fluid and stuff, and it wasn't anything special cinematically, but, like, I appreciated that they didn't try and make her just, like, slam the guy, and I was like, that would be weird. So after, with that side note, back to the point, they felt like they had to explain why she couldn't beat him the last 2 times they met. When one of the times she had to leave to go save her friends, and then the other one, she had to leave to save her friend. Like, she didn't lose yet, or at least I didn't see it that way. But she's, like, beating him and talking, and she's like, you thought the last 2 times I lost, but really, I was learning! And I was like, first of all, weird thing to say in the middle of a fight with the guy that killed your, like, this whole, like, revenge story you had. And second, like, is that necessary? Like, why do you feel the need to tell him that? You don't. You feel the need to tell the audience that. It was just it was cheesy. It wasn't, again, this isn't anything, like, bad, I guess. It's just cheesy and would have been better without it.
Yeah, it cuts the flow of the action, and I think John Wick is a great example of what to do with an action movie.
How many times did he talk to the guy while fighting him? Except for when they were, like, mutually respecting each other. And, like, do you need a break? Like when he's in combat, he's in combat. That's it. Yep. And it's fine. And you enjoy, like, the entire, like, 20 minutes of it. I got 2 more points that I want to make about what this movie did wrong. The first one is a little quicker of one, so I'll start with that. Naomi Scott killed a guy.
And she calls herself out on that, too. And she's like, I'm a murderer.
And then she's like, okay, that's, I'm over it.
I'm a murderer. Okay, let's go back to the mission. And you're just like, wait.
You just killed the guy. And she's not, like, a spy. She's a scientist. And she, like, sees the guy die because of what she does. And then she's just like, I hope he's okay.
And then the other 3, like Kristen Stewart's character, I don't know the other one, the tall, skinny black chick, and then Elizabeth Banks. They're all like, oh, that was just casualty. And you're just like, no,
you fucking killed him. The guy was a but, like, that's still messed up. And they just moved past it. And
I was
just like,
trying to do his job.
Why did you have him die? Yeah. Why didn't you just have, like, the other chick, like, knock him out or something? Like, why? That's so weird. How do you, like, write that in and feel like you don't need to, like, be like, oh, she's broken up about that? Naomi Scott's character's a sociopath. She's just cool with that. But yeah, this is one of the things I thought was really, really weird. And, like, I don't know why they thought that was a normal thing. But yeah, so that was just a quick one. The last one, by far the most irritating part of this movie. The other parts are, like, bad, but, like, can be overlooked in a sense of it's a cheesy spy movie. This one is just annoying as and it's the character named Saint. And he basically does everything for the angels. And I don't know if half the time I think he was supposed to be a joke. And then the other half, it seemed like he was supposed to be serious about something that I couldn't tell was a joke or not. he did not come off very well. I do not know what the purpose of his character is other than to fill the blanks.
It was so weird. When you first meet him, he's just like, yeah, I'm this nutritionist guy that provides healthy food and just like great diet for agents. And I'm just like, that's cool.
And then he gives him all this weird food. And I'm like, it's weird, but like, whatever. Like, some people diet that way. But he like overdoes it.
But so he's like this really big food specialist, and you're just like, oh, that's fine. He's just a food specialist. Yeah. And then he goes on, he's like, well, let me fix your back.
You had a floating rib, by the way.
Yeah. And you're just like, okay, so now he can like, he's a chiropractor.
All right, he might do yoga. He seems like he does yoga, I guess.
And then he goes on, he's like, if you need to talk about anything, I'm a certified
licensed psychotherapist.
And you're just like, okay.
And you're like, is any of this important for me to know? And also, is the joke that he knows a lot of stuff? Because it's not funny. And second, is it not a joke? Because then this is stupid and boring.
And then it keeps going. This is the bad part. It keeps going to the part where they're in the closet and they're picking out their outfits. And then he's like, oh, this will work with you because, it'll just match your eyes or something like that. Yeah. And you're just like, okay, now you're a fashionist. And then it goes on where they have a second closet with all these weapons, and he knows about all these weapons and explosives and stuff. And you're just like, wait, what?
You've got to be underpaid. Yeah. Like, it's really weird. It's not funny. I didn't laugh at a single one of the jokes, actually. Now I think about it.
Yeah, it was
if
just
they were
there.
Jokes. Yeah. And then he comes, and then you get rid of him. You're past that scene. You're like, okay, cool. We're done with that weird guy. Because he said, like, this is the heavy-handed stuff I'm talking about, where he's like, can I fix your floating rib? With your consent, of course. Like, yeah, consent's important. But, like, obviously she, like, why do you need to do that? Why do you need to take the time out to do that in this movie? Like, it's been established. Women, like, this is the centerpiece of the movie. But, like, you don't need to do it every 5 minutes and be like, hey, remember feminism? Pop! Like, I do. I'm so for that. And then, so you get rid of him. And then, like, 30 minutes later, they're like, Elizabeth Banks comes in. And she's like, I brought a friend. And he walks in, and I'm like, no!
He's like, I brought smoothies.
Yeah.
You're just
no,
like,
seriously.
No, please, like, stop.
I hated him. But he was the worst part of the movie by far. Every single second he was on the screen, I was so done. Yeah, I think that's most of the points I wanted to talk about.
There was one kind of in the beginning. Well, it was the whole mentor thing, like the tall black chick mentor. Mm-hmm. He dies really fast and really early on, which is okay, but they really rushed that whole relationship between them.
Yeah, they didn't establish it very well.
And that comes
and
to
it was a driving force for her whole character.
For her whole character. And it comes to the end where she does kind of get that revenge and stuff, but you don't really feel too much of her motivation kind of throughout the story. And then in the end where she's like, yeah, I got my revenge. And you're just like, that's cool, I guess.
Her mentor character was really cool. Yeah. Like, that's the other thing is like, but I thought that's one of the benefits of this movie is like killing a really, really cool character that you like in the beginning. I was kind of like, oh, what? No, man. Like it wasn't great. And it could have held out on it because it was like the first mission they did. But yeah, I liked his character. Yeah, so we'll start with this one. And he actually does make one good point in this review. So they say, I really wish this movie, which was a great concept when it was originally made, hadn't become so politically correct. Boy, what'd you think the first one was about? Like, I hate when people just like use nostalgia as a veil to like politically pressing issues. Yeah, it's a movie about three women that are the whole point of the first one was pretty feminist. Like, and by pretty feminist, I mean feminist. Don't get me wrong. That was the whole point of it. So if you're saying that this one goes a little far, I understand, but it didn't do anything out of the ordinary. Yeah. Like you knew going into this, that's what it was going to be. Like just like you knew the other one was the same way. It says the box office is a reflection of how these social justice warrior PC films, and I hate that word because it's a positive. Social justice warrior is a good thing. How is that a negative? How is that a derogatory? Can't reach an audience. SJW films can't reach audiences, even though they're dominating in the box office. I grew up with strong female roles. I think it means role models, and never had an issue about it because those movies never emphasized it had to be a woman. It just was, and that's the point I liked, because I was like, they did a lot of it has to be a woman in this movie, whereas in the other ones it was just like that was just part of it was like, oh, they're women, and that was it. Rather than trying to be like the beginning monologue part, she goes and explains why women are better spies because they're overlooked this many % of the time, and
they're perceived in this kind of way,
which like was interesting, but like it was so heavy-handed, and I do see this person's point on that. Now they make movies and cast them based on gender and race. By the way, it's Charlie's Angels. Like,
who are you gonna cast?
You have to cast it on gender and race. Also, like, if you have a female character, how are you not gonna cast it on gender and race? But like there are problems on the other side where you're like people with Little Mermaid that are like, she can't be black, and it's like, why does it matter? But like obviously for Charlie's Angels it does matter that it's a girl, and Little Mermaid does matter that it's a woman as well, because the character's story is in line with being a woman. So that part is important. Her race has no role in it.
Which kind of goes to that whole like Disney thing where if you're going to cast Mulan, you don't want to cast a whole bunch of white, men and women.
She has to be Chinese. Like, that's about
part of the
Chinese
culture,
woman.
yeah.
Those both need to be done in order for the story to have its full effect. Yeah. But then on the other hand, you can look at like the Fantastic Four, the most recent Fantastic Four, where they made Johnny Storm black and Sue Storm white. Make them both black or make them both white. They're not adopted. They're brother and sister. That's like it's a crucial part of their relationship, is that they're like biological brother and sister. Or make them both adopted. I don't care as long as they're both like blood brother and sister. But it's just like, I don't know what you're trying to do with that story. But yeah, there's obviously nuance to everything. But yeah, this is not one of those movies that I was like, why are they casting all these women in this movie about women? It's fishy to me. The social justice warriors are just ruining cinema. But it just doesn't matter in this case. The last thing they say about this is the worst part is Charlie is now a woman, even though it was a man originally. Imagine if they remade Star Wars and made Luke Skywalker a woman. No one would remake Cosby Show with an Asian family. Okay, first of all,
I would want to watch that,
because
actually.
No one's going to remake the Cosby Show with Bill Cosby. Yeah. That's an awful example. You picked the worst. Like, there's so many points you could make, and you picked the worst one. Like, that would be like, no one's going to remake the Nazi Party without making a Hitler a woman. Like, what the are you talking about? But yeah, there's also a ton of sitcoms that are based on the Cosby Show with Asian fans, like Fresh Off the Boat. And the Ken Jeong one, where he's the doctor. Oh, yeah. There's stuff out there like that. Also, I do not think Charlie in the original Charlie's Angels and Luke Skywalker to the Star Wars franchise
correlates.
You can't not like, those aren't comparable at all. They're not the same.
Plus, we do have a woman, Luke Skywalker. It's Princess Leia.
Yeah, that's basically what the new movies are. Also, remaking Star Wars is a totally different conversation than remaking a Charlie's Angel. But that was another thing we can actually talk about. So in the end, Charlie's revealed to be a woman. She's using like a voice disguiser. That was cool. That made a lot of sense to me. I thought that was a nice piece. And it does go in line with some of the stuff. So I watched this news story about these two women who were trying to like sell their product. And they couldn't get a hold of anybody. Like, no one wanted to talk to them. And they changed their name to Mr. Man. And as soon as they did that, everybody started like setting up meetings with them that they were emailing. They emailed the same people. And they just changed their name to Mr. Man instead of Mrs. whatever the two women were. And they immediately started getting business. So I thought that was kind of like similar to that, where it's like, No one's going to respect a woman, so I'm going to pretend to be a man, but I'm a woman the whole time.
I really didn't think that reveal in the end that she was a woman anyways was like something that took away from the movie or anything. It didn't even take away like the message of like the movie. If anything, it added on to it. As like what you said, I'm kind of confused where his thought process is going with this.
Yeah, so that was his whole review. I thought it was kind of funny. Thought a lot of his points are pretty ridiculous. The Mandalorian, he gave a 1. By the way, Mandalorian, really good. Get like Disney Plus is worth it just because of that show. Show is solid. He rated Toy Story a 4. He rated Joker a 5. I'm trying to find a good one. None of them have been above a 5. All of these videos, like there's a movie about a gay, or Will and Grace, about a gay couple, rated a 1. Movie about, or Knock Down the House is actually a really good documentary on women in Congress, rated a 1. TV show about privilege, white privilege in America, rated a 1. Movie targeted towards African American audience, rated a 1. Movie against Trump, he rated a 1. Batwoman, he rated a 1. The Kitchen, he rated a 1. There's some really telling trends in this guy's
rating.
Yeah. He doesn't like when other people besides white men are represented. That's what I'm assuming. Oh, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a 10. So it does support my theory. He rated Shazam a 1, but that's just because he's over 25. Yeah. Booksmart got a 1 because he's an idiot. I'm seriously trying to find like more good ones. Most of his reviews, he has like 266, and they're all trash. Captain Marvel got a 1. Ghostbusters, the new one, got a 1, which it was. I gave it a 3, but
it was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad, but I didn't give it a 3 because of why he gave it a 1. Yeah, we're gonna move on from that guy because he's just a black hole of idiocracy. So
why did you say like why does he keep watching?
Yeah. Why does he keep watching like these SJW movies if he knows he's gonna hate them? Because he hasn't liked a single one. The thing is, though, he didn't watch them. Either he is an idiot and he keeps like eating the rat poison. Yeah. Or like eating things that he hates and keeps like viewing these movies that he knows he's not going to like, or he is just bullshitting and trying to tank the reviews on IMDb, which is IMDb. Like, I'm sure half of the reviews on Charlie's Angels didn't watch it, but that's just IMDb has a skew where if it's a female lead movie, it does like a point or two worse than all the like male lead movies, and it's just because of mostly people that use this are men, which is why we do this to point out that sometimes IMDb reviews are not right. Here's the one. Literally, I haven't even skipped one yet because they're all so bad. This one says, "Not helping," rated at 2 out of 10. Also, warning, spoilers. And it's just one sentence. "Make every single man either stupid, evil, or useless is not helping with gender equality." If that's the way you saw it, dude, then I think you are stupid, evil, or useless.
That's how it is in real life.
What's the instructor? Was fine. There was a ton of Bogleys. Yeah. Or Bosleys. Mowgli, Bosley hybrid. There was a ton of Bosleys that were all men, and they weren't bad guys. The scientist, Noah Centineo, who I hate, was actually a good guy. Saint was a good guy. Both supposed to be smart. There's plenty of people like that. Just because you saw it that way.
I didn't even think Patrick Stewart, him becoming a villain, like in the end, like I didn't think he was a dumb.
No, he was very intelligent. Or I guess he was the evil one. I think they're reaching with that. I've seen this argument a lot of times.
And that's the spoilers. Is that all? Is that it?
That's all he says. Yeah, that's it. That's why we need the spoiler warning. Only has reviewed Charlie's Angels. 3 out of 10, and the subject line is "Men don't want to watch female heroes on the screen." But then he says it has nothing to do with that. Oh, apparently Elizabeth Banks said that. He goes, "It has nothing to do with that, and if you think so, you are just blind." Oh yeah, well I guess if you're blind, you wouldn't want to watch anyone on the screen because you couldn't. It's about quality, good writing, acting. If this movie is good, it doesn't matter who is in it, but when you do something cheap and think it'll make you the big bucks, you can't be that smart. Thought it'd be good idea. Oh, whoever thought it would be a good idea must be fired. Movies like this, exactly what's wrong with Hollywood. No love. Make a good movie, but love into it. It should work out fine. Just complain about the men. Don't watch it because there are females on the lead role. Is just embarrassing. So let's see what this guy has on his profile. Except he does mention, because I was about to say, like, he doesn't like if there's a woman-led movie and you don't like that either. But he does say, remember when shows like Buffy or Veronica Mars? I watched them because they were good shows, not because they were starring women. Why do they have to make such a big deal out of it? Let's see. I'm trying to see if he did rate Buffy or Veronica Mars.
That's the thing, is that there are all those people that are like, okay, like I get it, you know, feminism, like that kind of stuff. But that just means that movie is not made for you. It's made for those other people that have a problem with that. So you shouldn't be angry for them making feminist movies for other people.
And also,
and it's, you know, it's not all about you.
I would say, are they wrong though? Are they wrong about women being paid less than men? Are they, especially minority women? Are they wrong? Yeah, and we even said, we're feminists, and we even said like it was a little heavy-handed with the feminism stuff, and it was like I understand how this movie would come across as just like obnoxiously feminist, but that obviously was not the like point of it. Yeah. It was just poor dialogue.
I feel like that part also was made for us.
Yeah. That
kind of understand it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. It's for those people that really just does not get.
I think it's for like those teenage girls that are watching it like, I can't do this stuff because of the way society sees me. Yeah, and they're like, check this out. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that's the point. So it was overbearing, but like, it was overbearing, but their points are valid. Like they're not making bad points. They're just making it a lot. And you're like, okay, can I just watch the movie now? I understand society is a scary place and it's broken, but can I just like watch a movie? Like that was my problem with it. It wasn't, but it was good points. And I do want that in the movie. I just thought they could have done it a little more creatively. God obviously just doesn't like when movies are political unless it fits his narrative. Actually, I think that's another symptom. We can talk about this a little bit. I think people who say like keep politics out of my movies and stuff, they say that a lot, and it's not even like a liberal talking point sometimes. In fact, this movie you could even like it was just about women having like the ability to do things. And if you think that's like a liberal talking point or like that's kind of the problem, or you have like other movies like a Harriet or Black Panther, and you're like, oh, why they gotta make it about them being black? They didn't say this about Harriet because that would be extra stupid. I'm sure someone did. But like Black Panther, they're like, oh my god, I get it, you're African, blah blah blah. It's like, well, that's you liberals are taking over Hollywood. And I'm like, maybe they're just making good points. None of these movies are like, hey Bombay, so we're liberal, right? Like none of them are doing like that. They're just saying things like, hey, we should be tolerant of everyone's views, and we should love everybody, and we should make sure everyone is healthy, and we should respect women as much as we respect men. And then people go, liberal! Like, how is that a liberal thing? That's just like being a decent human being. And if you disagree with that, I don't really know what to tell you. It's just funny to me because I never see like them attack like they say keep politics out of my movies, and then they'll watch something like they'll watch something called Death of a Nation. They'll watch like Death of a Nation, and they'll be like, this is what people need to watch. And I'm like, that's more political than any of them. That specifically talks about political parties in it. The other one just was like, hey, women have rights, and you were like, politics. But so it's an interesting dilemma people seem to have.
So what we're getting from this is that there's a lot of people complaining about how Charlie is not a dude. I don't get that point because Charlie can be a woman's name, first of all. And it would just make sense that a woman started a woman-based, spy agency.
Yeah, I do not see why Charlie has to be a dude, and I'm really trying to find a reason. I feel like it just doesn't matter. If anything, it's better that it's a woman, because the whole point of it was like, oh, women can be unseen, they can get in and out better than men, they're better for spy work, they get overlooked. I'm open to comments if you have a reason why Charlie needs to be a man, because I seriously am wondering, because all the reviews that we saw that said that just said, I can't believe they made Charlie a woman. And it was such a small part of the movie, too.
Yeah,
it was such
just the ending.
It did not matter. It was
just the ending.
Yeah.
Does it matter? It was like one of those end credit scenes where you're just all like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Also, people were like, this is an abomination to the first one. The first one got a 5.5 on IMDb, and this one got a 4, and it's going up. So, it just kind of shows you how this movie has been received regardless of it. That nostalgia is what's making them think that this is, they had a different reaction to this when it came out in 2000. But in reality, this one faced the same problems.
It just shows that we haven't changed in that direction.
Yeah, we have some progress to do. All of the more positive ratings are recent. So, July 2019, so when this was announced. And then if I go, the farther I go down, the farther away I go, the lower those ratings get. And it's the same thing. I was optimistic about this adaptation of the classic 70s, but on first viewing, it did nothing but disappoint. It's over the top, and the funny moments are quite labored. This movie's a poor excuse for something that's supposed to be based on a legendary TV series. It's simply ridiculous and over-the-top nonsense and absolutely nothing to get excited about. So that sounds very, very similar to the way people reviewed this new Charlie's Angels.
Are you looking at the reviews for the
older 2000
ones?
one, the original movie one? And they're see how you didn't even know.
I had no idea.
Yeah, they're all the same, and that's what I'm saying. I could totally see someone not liking it. I liked it because I love Naomi Scott, I love Patrick Stewart, I love Kristen Stewart. Yeah, I love those actors and actresses. Even Elizabeth Banks.
I didn't even know she directed it, the movie.
Who, Elizabeth Banks?
Yeah, she directed the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like people like that. I liked the ending part where they had actual Danica Patrick and Ronda Rousey, actual women that manly things. But yeah, it's shockingly similar, and people now are saying, "Oh, the one in 2000, that's a good one," when that's not what they were saying in 2000. And I think this is going to be a similar situation, and because it wasn't that bad, it wasn't good, it wasn't that bad. It was a little bit above average. Like I said, it's low, a low 6, but a 6. This is actually one more review from the 2001. This one actually says it was a typical Hollywood movie, and goes on to talk about how it was too left and it made too many political points, and gave it a 1 out of 10. It's the exact same thing that this one said, and you said this was the other one didn't do that or whatever. I can't. It's hard to argue with those people anymore, because they're so set in their ways that they either have to admit that they were sexist, saying some of the things they said, or that just keep being sexist and say they're not being sexist.
Whew, that's our spoiler part of Charlie's Angels.
Got a little off track there, but that's what you can expect from us on the spoilers now, because it's more of a discussion based. And if you don't like that, then subscribe.
Stay tuned for our next review video. Definitely follow us on our Instagram page to know and keep updated when we'll be posting at Samurai Review 0 on Instagram. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed our rant and our podcast for this.